Hi there, my name is Typical T. Welcome to another relaxing long play of Manor Lords. Today, we strive forth with a new people, settling in a new land in the latest update of this serene game. So, without further ado, make yourself comfortable and join me as we forget about the stresses of the day and lose ourselves to the music and movement of a medieval city builder. Build up your town, your manor, and when ready, press claims towards regions owned by your opponents. Once a claim has been pressed, be ready for battle. Well, we'll certainly try our damnedest. I'll put our best foot forward. Here we are, the latest release of the game, and we're starting in Burenbach. So it looks like we have a rich resource node of eel. We have a surface deposit of clay, which is rich also. We've got a small stone deposit. We've got some berries and a little bit of iron as well. So eel or fish and clay will be our strongest suit here. It's the first time I've played on the lake map. I must say, it's rather gorgeous. Look at that. So we're playing on the dual game mode, so we do have an adversary, and they have started on the opposite side to us, from Mahor. So it looks like they've got ready deposit of iron. And what else do we have? What is our fertility like down here? Let's have a look at the flax facility. Not great farming, but that's okay because we're going to be using the eel as our primary source of food here initially anyway, and we've berries to spice that with to get us going. So above us we have a strong salt deposit and a rich clay deposit. Probably don't want to be going there first then because we already have clay down here. And in terms of fertility, also not a particularly fertile area. And up here we have a rich stone deposit and a rich mushroom. And then down to our left, we've got a rich mushroom deposit. And all the way across here, we've got again a rich stone deposit, rich fish deposit here. And then we have wild animals and a rich berry deposit here. So we are going to be buying in iron because that is our quarry's main resource, and there's not another way on this map to get a steady income of that resource. They also have started with good access for farming. They've got very ripe, fertile land. So we're probably going to have to move across here fairly early on so we gain access to some good farmland. And then possibly across again to get a rich stone deposit that is adjacent to the areas we already own, rather than having to come all the way up here for it. So here's our initial starting camp. We've got a lovely little vista here, a break in the trees out to the lake. So as always, first order of business is going to be seeing where we settle our initial town hamlet. It's going to be somewhere near our homeless people's tents, so I'm not walking too far with the resources and for construction. But we also don't want it to be anywhere that's not going to be handy for gathering resources. The berries are quite far away over there, but I think we'll focus on the eel first anyway, and we've got the clay deposit there. So I think it might be quite nice to have a thoroughfare through here potentially. Maybe one that splits out in two. So if we start at the end here with a point, let's make that fairly sharp as well. And then I'm going to bow that out on both sides. And come down like so. And we'll do something similar on the other side here. Just come across from a gentle curve to about a little bit wide there, I think. we tighten it up a little bit at this point here, try and mimic what we've done on the other side. Bit of a gentle curve there as well. And then we'll connect those two up at the bottom. Pop a middle point there. Like so. Almost in the shape of a boat pointing towards the lake. That's rather fitting, isn't it? Actually, I thought it was quite an uneven shape, but I quite like that. That's pretty good going, actually, considering we've just free-handed it. So then let's bisect this right through the centre. Right where the transom would be in a boat. And then we'll lead that path off down towards the eel. Perhaps we will put a bridge there eventually. Let's curve that a little bit there as well. Okay, and then what I think we'll do is we'll aim to have housing up along here, housing down here. So let's have a central market area. Pop some roads down like that. And then let's start with a granary and a storehouse, so we can get our precious goods stored inside as soon as possible. While they're busy working on that, we'll look to the next thing, which is getting a water source, and we'll pop that just down here. And then with a water source placed down, let's place down our initial market. And I think I'd quite like to fill the space here in between our granary and storehouse. What it might mean is putting some stalls either side of them, like so. Doesn't seem much point for a road in there, does there? Maybe we'll plant a couple of trees. Okay, and then we'll get a worker in the granary straight away so that we can get those resources moved inside. And we're also going to relocate our hitching post. We'll pop that over there and we'll have another one over on that side eventually. We may have some additional roads mimicking the outside shape here, but we'll see how we go, because we don't want it to be too long of a journey to get from one place to another. What we might actually do then in that case is take a road down the centre. Maybe let's just curve that. Too much of a curve there. We take kind of 3 points, one there, one there, one there, and one there. And make that fairly curvy. I think that's nice, and we'll do something similar on this side. Just zigzag it back and forth till we get to the bow. Place that down there. Not sure about those. Let's get rid of them. And let's not get too distracted, and let's get someone working in that storehouse. We're also going to need to get some timber in, so let's get down a logging camp. To start with, we'll place this inside. We are going to move that eventually, but I think for the sake of not lopping down any trees we don't need to for the moment, we'll put it on the inside, and once we've cut those trees down, we can worry about moving our logging camp just outside of the main settlement area. We're also going to need to get some food coming in, so let's right away see if we can't get down a fisherman's hut. I'll put that just in the end down here, this spur of road towards the rich deposit of eel. But for the moment we need to open up the logging camp so that we can start producing some logs, bring in some lumber, and from there we'll be able to start expanding and constructing. So let's get 3 working there straight away. There aren't any wild animals nearby, so I'm not going to bother about setting them a area they can work within. I'll let them naturally clear out this area, and then it might be somewhere else, like maybe over here. We'll move an industrial zone eventually, and we'll start planting trees over there and logging over time, so we won't be replanting these trees, I wouldn't have thought. Let's have a quick look and see how our adversary is doing. Ditz. Let's hope he's ditzy. And they too are making progress. They've got 2 mules already. Staunch opposition from them. Well, our boat is very much pointed towards them. Putting our best bow forwards, perhaps, instead of our best foot. So we're down to 2 months on food. And we are hopefully starting to bring in a little bit of timber. So just as soon as we can, we want to be getting down our initial source of food production. So there we go. We'll pop that down. Our 2 available families are going to start building that. I've unassigned them for the moment from the storehouse and from the granary, because until we get some housing up, they're really surplus, those families there. They're much better used for construction. I'm going to leave 3 in the logging camp for the moment, and I'm also going to put down a woodcutter's lodge. Put that just here as well, so that we can start bringing in... I'm not deleting any resources, I will at any rate. And that's going to start enable us as soon as we need to start bringing in some firewood. I'm probably not going to assign any families to start work there immediately, but it does give us that option. We're not waiting to construct it when the time comes. So there we are, we'll pop that down. We've got a little bit of that weather coming in. That's why we focused on moving our goods into the granary and into the storehouse, so that come what way with the weather, we're not damaging any of our precious resources. So we're 75% of the way there with the fisherman's hut. I'm going to put that to very high or highest priority, because it is more important than getting the woodcutter's lodge set up. And now that we've moved the hitching post, I'm going to put down an additional hitching post, so that we've got 2 of those at work straight away. And I'm going to order an additional ox, because 2 oxes is going to speed construction no end with moving that lumber around from when it's chopped down to getting it to the place where it needs to be for the work to begin. Get a family working in the fisherman's hut straight away, so that we can start bringing in some food, which is very important since we only have 2 months of that left. We've built up a little bit of timber, so we can start to think about getting some houses down. And so where to put them initially? We could either have some roads on the inside and then spread the farms out around, or we could put them around the perimeter and maybe have a few roads that connect into the central space. And I think I like that idea best. So let's pop those across there, and we'll fill in to the space. In fact, we'll start at the bottom here. We'll come about halfway down on one side. I kind of want to line up with these roads here, so we pop that there. Maybe even we'll build these roads first. So we'll come straight down on that one, and we'll come straight down on this one. Starting to show up a bit of our uneven shape here. Not quite as even as it first looked, but it doesn't need to be perfect. And we'll continue that through up here as well. And we'll do this one once the homeless people move out of those tents and into some accommodation. I might even splay these out a little bit, so it does match a bit better on both sides. So that connects there. So we'll connect this one just here. Yeah, and I prefer that look overall. So let's get that housing down. We completely fill the space. Nope, it's a bit tight. So let's just fill this space in here for the moment. But I'm not liking how that's adjusting the housing, so let's get rid of those roads. We'll slow the speed down so we're not running away with ourselves. And we'll do this a little bit more organically. And let's take off road snapping there so we can get this sat where we want it to. And why not slant the plots as well? Maybe the first plots should be more geared towards farming. So with that in mind, let's see if we can't fill out to the road a little more. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 properties, each with a fairly large garden space. So let's build those there. And I'd like to mimic something similar on this side. We are only getting 3 there. So I think I'd rather do 4 and just have one that isn't a double plot. So we'll do that on this side. And then we'll pop some roads going down like so, flanking the borders of that property. Lovely, and that's going to give us some nice growing space. We might get some orchards and we'll get some vegetable gardens going in those there. And then perhaps we'll have some denser property up in the bow of our little boat shape here. So we've got a few logs left lying around, so let's take a family off logging camp duty. So we've got an additional family working on construction. And we've got 4 months of food, so I am going to leave a family in the fisherman's hut for the time being, because I do want to make sure we've got plenty to see us through the winter. So we'll speed things up a little more here again as well. And we'll watch the houses spring up into position. Reassign fire. Dear. Have they got a fire assignment problem over there? Looks like they're ahead of us on getting their burgish plots into place. Perhaps they weren't quite so indecisive about how to shape their initial settlement. I didn't intend to make a boat when I first set out on this map, but it's happened. That's okay. I don't mind. There we have our first house going together. We'll get our first family inside, and with that, hopefully we'll start increasing our approval. Goodness. A measure of how the people feel towards your rule. They are some base events, of which there are none so far. Hopefully there will be some in the future. Close. There we go. Getting trapped in the new screens. So fuel, 19 months, food, 6 months. So we've got plenty of fuel actually. Nah, maybe a bug because we're back down to 9 months now. We didn't lose 10 months in an instant. That may well have been showing us the AI's situation. Anyway. It'll continue to come in. And you can see here in the new update we've got many more food types, as well as the general look of the interface being updated to feel more medieval. I think it is rather pretty. Okay, so the houses are really coming along now. We've got 4 up, the 5th is about to be completed, and we just want 1 family in each of these for the moment, so we're not going to immediately expand them. Ooh. And Brenbach has graded. A strong militia is paramount to the survival of any settlement. Luckily, a shipment of weapons has just arrived, and you will now be able to create your first militia banners to serve you and protect your people. However, we will need more weapons to equip the people as the settlement grows, either by making them or importing them from other lands. Indeed, let us form the militia. 10 fine fighting men. And we also need to go and choose our first perk. So we're working mainly here with eel and with clay. And if we look at the environment, so we have 48% meadow, gently rolling grasslands dotted with wildflowers vital for grazing, honey making and healthy bee populations. That's good for pollination with bees and wilding, so apiaries yield additional output based on the amount of meadow available. And 49% woodland, so that's great for penages for pigs, and it's good for wild animals and berries and mushrooms. We're not doing so much of that trapping or hunting hemp, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's good for bark gathering, so that's a nice passive benefit. Penage is probably the most important thing there for us. And you can see we're 0% on farmland, but only 2% on rural, and we're 0% on urban, so we probably want to be focusing on meadow and woodland. So we'll bear that in mind as we go to our development pack. So our origins. So this one gives us better small holdings, increased approval from food variety, and increased success from tree planting. So that would be quite good for us actually, because we probably are going to focus on pigs and small holdings, because we have a decent amount of woodland, and we've also got the meadows, which is going to help us with apiaries, so we're going to have good food variety. So it would be good to have good variety from that. Tithe will cause a loss of approval similar to land tax, but that's okay, we can get our influence via other means to start with. And we've got of the Bogtland, so that gives us better hunting grounds, extra price on minor trades. We don't really need that. We could go for woodwright journeyman because we've got a fair amount of forest land, so better joiners and bows could be useful. Reducing fuel consumption is always useful, and increased militia combat effectiveness certainly does sound good. Decreasing mining gathering speed, it's only 10%, but we do have clay we're going to be harvesting or mining, so that's definitely something to consider. We've got guildsmen, so increased regional wealth from burgish plots, lower upgrade cost, but we don't have Sultan iron ore. So that might be quite good actually, because Sultan iron ore import value reduction. So it's going to cost 30% less to import iron ore. That might be really quite good, because we are going to need to buy in iron ore in one of our settlements. So that's certainly something to consider. It might be we do that in one of our other regions we claim though, because we probably want to focus on having a good meadow and good small holdings and pens, which we can do with the Bamberg smallholders. We've got smiths, so that's to do with the weapons and militia. Clothing and durability increase, sheep are more resilient. Masons we probably wouldn't do because we haven't got a large stone production here. And we don't need particularly good armourers or mine integrity, we're not doing a huge amount of that. Although it does give us mining import discounts for iron ore and salt. Free to establish. And Hunterland's effective farming elevation. So let's play it simple and let's go for the small holdings. So that's going to give us a new upgrade small holding, increased approval from food variety, increased success chance for tree planting, and we've got a little problem with tithing, but that's okay. So that's our first step. We've got 3 available living spaces, and a few more we'll do shortly once they're completed, and then we'll expand the ones we have already. We've got food for 7 months, so now would be a good time to get someone working at the woodcutter's lodge so that we have enough fuel come winter time and we're not struggling. And then we need to start thinking about what we're going to do next. So next is probably going to be getting a saw pit so that we can produce some planks, which is going to allow us to produce some more complex buildings. And let's pop this on the road just outside where we already have some industrial buildings, and we've started to clear that forest with our logging camp and with our woodcutter's lodge. So we'll get that under construction. It is seasonal, the eel population, so we do need to take account of that. We're not going to be able to gather that in winter. And the last of the burgish plots is going together now. Wonderful. So we're going to take a family out of the logging camp. We've had a family settle as well, which is perfect because that means we can have one working in the granary and one working in the storehouse, and that's going to work towards the requirements that our villagers need. So forage goods, so it gives us basically market store variety for these here. And then we're going to need a church as well. So that's one of the other things we're working towards, and at the moment we're a small village, so it's the small village essentials that we're working on. So we don't currently have anything under construction. So once these have been moved into, we can start to think about upgrading our other holdings. For now though, let's get our spare family working in the saw pit. And let's go to the advanced and set a reserve. Yeah, 15 sounds good actually. A 15 reserve of timber. So we've always got some ready for construction. And already we've had an additional family move in. So let's go through and mark these for upgrade, so that we can expand our living space as much as we can, initially at least, with our initial homes, before we have to expand into the next zone housing. And we'll leave each of these workplaces ticking over with one family, and we'll let one family work away with construction. And now we've got some planks, we can start to look at some upgrades down here. So I don't really want to purchase anything for the moment because we have a decent income of food from the eel population over here. So I probably want to use some of our initial wealth to create a trade route. As for what we're going to be exporting, it's probably going to be clay, maybe roof tiles, as a nice easy resource to be exporting fairly early on. And to build a trading port, which is down in logistics. Trading post is just 4 logs, so we could get on and do that actually. And we're not actually connected to the King's Road, which would seem like an important thing to do. So let's take a spur off from this corner and take that straight down here. And then we'll also connect across here, all the way to the border of our land over there. And let's put down our trading post just here on the way out of the village, which should give us good access to the King's Road. We might even pop a shortcut in there for anyone who does not want to go the long way. And that's flying along, because already we have 3 unassigned families. So we have 6 available living spaces at the moment. Already they're filling up, so we need to start thinking about making sure we've got resources ready to build some additional ones fairly quickly. So let's get an additional family working at the logging camps that are ready to go as soon as there becomes a need. And then we have the trading post. So let's open our first trade route, and let's open it. It would be nice to have clay. We are going to need another 10 to open that. So we're going to have to pick something else for our initial trade, which realistically is going to be something fairly elemental. Let's go for planks. So we'll establish a trade route for planks. We'll go to export, and we want to have a surplus of 30 planks. And we will set an additional family to work in the saw pit and in the logging camp, so that we can start to meet that plank production before we even think about putting anyone in the trading post to start stocking the trading post with said planks. And pretty soon I'd like to get a mining pit over on the clay deposit, because really the plank export is really just an initial trade so that we can build up enough finances to open trading with clay and then with roof tiles then eventually as well. But that's no reason we can't get a little bit ahead of the game and build a mining pit. And again, we'll try and avoid uprooting too many trees. So we'll place this as far out to the edge as we can. In fact, what I might do is set a limited work area for our logging camp. If I can press the right button. And we'll just clear the timber. We'll do the same with our woodcutter's lodge. We'll clear that area over the clay surface deposit so that we're not wasting any trees by plonking down a building and deleting them. And we'll speed time up. I'm pretty happy with how things are going. We've got a decent amount of fuel. We've got a good amount of food. And we are about a third of our way into that rich eel deposit, so we can't rely on this eel deposit to feed us forever. We're definitely going to need to start growing stuff domestically. I don't want to be doing that until we've saved up a little bit of money and opened some more profitable trade routes. So we're up to 15 planks, we're 11 timber, so we're a few more timber before we start tipping over into a bit more plank production. Bandit camp has been sighted. Right, okay, so we're up to 20 in our militia. So that is enough that I'm confident we can start to go out and club some bandits around the head. So we just as well start with those who are close to us. So let's rally our forces. And we'll send them on an intrepid journey to go and take out those who would do us harm and take what is rightfully ours. Right then, no need to run. We're just out for a walk and walk towards our enemies. So we'll head over there. It looks like they're going to wade across rather than taking the bridge. That's absolutely fine. And they march off as we head into September. We've got 4 available plots to be able to move into in terms of living space, 3 now. So it is getting to that point where I want to start building some additional dwellings. That being said, we're just ticking over into a surplus of logs so that we can start with production of plank with an aim to selling. We do want to make sure we're making the most of immigration, so let's have a look at getting some properties down here at the bottom. That's rather lovely, isn't it? 4 dwellings with 4 working areas. We'll pop a little road across there. And we can't get any water in there. We may put some shops there eventually though. Maybe these will be specialised buildings, so we don't have loads and loads of families living in them, but they can be joiners, for example. That might be a good use for those dwellings. Once again, fairly good on food. And it looks like our militia has come to their first checkpoint. Now we'll advance to this ridge here. We'll see how far we need to get before we start provoking some action from the filthy brigands. So nothing as yet. I would like to keep the high ground if at all possible. So let's advance down to here. And we're still fighting on a slope there, so they'll have to fight up into us. And here we go. So we'll take up a position here. And we'll set to balanced, and we'll spread out a little bit. And then once they attack, we'll move to envelop them. I'll use our shield wall because we're in dense forest. So slow that down. Set to aggressive and we'll dive right in. Hopefully our superior position and our slightly superior numbers, along with our superior weaponry, will swiftly take care of these brigands. So let's speed time up a little bit. yet to lose a mana. There we go. Our first man is dead. Hopefully that'll be the only casualty we take. And they're all but broken. Hurrah! Oh, don't let them get away. They're heading straight for our town. We do rather need to run after them. I'm not sure why those two lads ran away. But we can't leave a couple of brigands to wander around the forest. Hopefully when our lads get closer we're going to spot them. There they are. Just the one lad. Come on, men. Heal swiftly. And there we go. So now we'll move to take that camp. Back over on the domestic side of things. We can see the framework for one of the houses has gone up. One of the others has already been constructed. Everywhere you look, the vista is rather beautiful. And the intense sound of battle has drifted away, leaving us with the peaceful quiet of our small village. So we're building up planks, we've got a few timber available as well. Hopefully we're making a bit of progress on stripping away the trees from what will become our clay mine. And we have our men working their way towards the bandit camp so that we can take that wealth for ourselves. And the influence from it is already ours. And we'll send these spoils of war to our own treasury. And we'll bring our spear militia back home. And using our newfound wealth, we're going to hire some brigands. So they arrive in Harewind. And where is that? That's up here. So we could hire that. We'd have to march through here to get this brigand camp, but I don't see why that would be a problem. So let's hire those brigands. And then we're going to march these lads all the way over here to take care of those other brigands, brigandception, and bring us some financial and influential reward. Our burgish plots continue to expand and to grow. Logging operations continue over the future clay mine. And we'll disband our brave lads now they're home so they can return to their jobs. And I'm going to hurry these guys along their way because we don't want to be paying them twice. We'll run to that position there. Even exhausted, they outnumber the enemy 2 to 1. Let's get our first lad working at the trading post. And we're going to build a hitching post next to the trading post. And that's going to be for some horses. We can increase the efficiency of that workplace. We'll build 2 of those there. And we did lose 1 brave soldier in the conflict. But it was a price, I dare say, that was worth paying. How are our adversaries coming along? They've already got a church. Oh dear, and they've opened their own clay mine, or own iron mine. Rather showing us up. Imagine being shown up by an AI. It's rather unfortunate. October is upon us, and our own brigands have just crossing the bridge now. So we don't want to attract these brigands immediately, so we'll set up on the hill there to start with. And once again, we're starting to think about making sure we've got enough living space available. So let's mark a road out from here, right to the tip of that. And let's settle some denser housing along here. I want these to be just big enough to have a workable area at the back of the property without making it any bigger than it needs to be. And we'll make these individual dwellings. And I'm going to copy that on the other side as well. Or at least I will when we have enough resources available to us. There's plenty of work for our unassigned families to be getting along with. And how close are we to being able to build our first religious building? In fact, we could do it, we just need to get some logs. That being said, the storehouse is nearly full. Granary isn't too bad. We've got resources for a decent time ahead of us yet. So hopefully soon we start exporting some goods. Once our brigands have recovered a bit of their strength, we'll push them forwards and take out this bandit camp. Ideally we'll make them run to us. And there we have them charging towards us. So we'll position our two groups slightly apart from each other. And we'll attack into the flank once our enemy close in. No tactics with brigands, as you can see. There's no defensive or aggressive play. It's just balanced. It doesn't look like these brigands are in any particular rush. They haven't marched half the map to get here. Hopefully we're not going to have to pay for our brigands twice. But time will tell. So we'll push in from both sides and make quick work of them. And just as soon as we've vanquished these filthy brigands who aren't taking our coin to do our bidding, that is about the only thing that separates them. They're probably cousins fighting each other. We'll push straight down, take bandit camp. Going to be close with paying them. No other bandit camps have popped up for us to take afterwards, so it is just this one here. So just as soon as we take the bandit camp, we will be getting rid of these lads, so we don't have to pay them for another month. Perfect, and we'll send these to the nearest town, actually. We'll disband that because we have enough money in the treasury to hire an additional band of mercenaries the next time that we see an brigands outlaw camp appear on the map. And that gives us a bunch of regional wealth with which we can start to build some vegetable gardens. So we'll place 2 of those straight away. Once they're built, we can assign some vegetables to them. In fact, let's go for 4 of those straight away. And then we're going to go for trade, and we're going to open a trade route. Let's go for clay initially. And that's 80 for clay. How much is it for roof tiles? Only 100. Let's establish a roof tile trade route because it gets more expensive the more trade routes you have. So yeah. Look, we can afford the clay, but I'm not going to buy that straight away. We'll wait until we start making roof tiles so we can start exporting them. Set those to export, but only once we have a stockpile of 25 roof tiles for our own use. And let's order roofs as well. We'll upgrade that to a stable. And we'll also look to order an additional ox fairly soon as well. We can see we're starting to clear out the area over our clay pit. So if we were to look to place one of those now, still cutting down a fair number of trees to get it, but it's actually as soon as these trees have been cleared from here, we will be able to get a clay pit starting on this side here. And a quick resource check, we've got food for 7 months and fuel for 23. So that's plenty enough of a good start. Let's start to think about that church. We need 20 planks to make it happen. How are we doing at the saw pit? I'd imagine it's a timber shortfall that's preventing us from making more planks, and we are using the planks as we go as well. So let's get an additional saw pit constructed. Run a little road between the two. Just so if we do want to increase production, we can. And we might start to think as well at some point about making an additional logging camp. We're at 90% productivity with that workspace. Only 7%. 57% of the time they're waiting, and that's, as we said then, indicating that we haven't got enough timber for them, as opposed to anything else. With that in mind, let's pop down an additional logging camp. But I don't want to do it somewhere we're going to cut down trees. Let's put it over here. And they can work on this area of forest over here initially. It may be that we set a forester, and we'll pop him here. Let's pop a little road next to this here. There's our horse arriving that we ordered. And let's pop a forester just here, and he's going to work on reforesting this area over here to make up for the trees that we're cutting down. And let's check again, we're still a few minutes away from getting our first mining pit put in position. And again, this is actually a shortage of oxes. We're cutting down the trees faster than we are gathering them. So we'll make sure that just as soon as we can, we're ordering another ox, which is in 15 days from now. So let's get some beets here, get some cabbage here, and then we'll get some carrots here when we can afford it. Already we've worked our way through that initial stockpile of money we got, but we did manage to open a trade route that's going to allow us to bring in our first decent bit of profit in the form of roof tiles. So we don't have enough planks at the moment to build the church, but what we can construct, hopefully, is a clay furnace, so that when we do have clay coming in, we can start to make some roof tiles. And we just as well put this over here by the area we're going to be extracting the clay. So we'll pop a road there, and we'll pop this on the road, and we'll double check once again. We're pretty close to getting the mining pit down. I'm just 7 days and 50 coin away from getting additional ox. But hopefully we have some trade beginning. Problem is we're not making nearly enough planks, so let's get 3 workers in this logging camp so that we can start to bring in enough timber so that we're quickly cutting it down. I think it might also be delaying us here is the fact that they don't have an ox to supply them with the timber, the lumber. But we've got 9 available living spaces, so we don't need to worry about building additional living spaces for the moment. So that's going to free up the oxen from the construction work. What we might even do is set a permanent livestock here, for that we are going to need a livestock worker. So let's get a family working here at this small stable And we'll assign an ox here, Vit, and he's going to make sure that we've got a steady supply of lumber to our saw pit. Hopefully that starts to alleviate the plank bottleneck that we're currently experiencing, because we've got actually a fairly decent amount of lumber already from our logging camps. We're actually going to extend this road here, and we're going to build an additional logging camp purely so we can store all those extra logs that we're cutting down. And how are we doing here? 0% productivity. That's very sad. Admittedly, he doesn't have anything to export just yet. How are our rivals getting on? They don't seem to have made a massive amount of progress, although they have got their own trading post now. Well, I must say that our settlement looks a little bit nicer, if nothing else, and a little bit larger. We're up to 17 families, 51 population for our small village. And we're just waiting on gathering resources. How are we doing down here? Hopefully. Yeah, we're already up to 14% productivity, 15%, so that's going up, which is a good sign, which means assigning that livestock worker there was a good choice. And clearing works continue at a pace over here. And I'm actually going to go over to the logging camp, and I'm going to clear the work area, both the logging camp and the woodcutter's lodge, so they can start working where they want to. Because all we really need over here now is for the lumber to be collected. They've cut down enough that we can get in there. And here we have winter settling in. And I feel like we've achieved a lot before our first winter. The river with the eel in it is freezing, so we'll get our last couple of eel out of there before the waters become too cold to fish. And as the white settles upon the land, so does the frigid cold of winter. Ooh, the sound of coinage. That's always lovely, isn't it? Looks like we sold some planks, and you can see already, just from assigning that small stable worker here, we're up to 31% productivity, and we have a ready supply of planks for trade. So with that in mind, looks like we're just a little shy on stone to build our church. Stone shards, so let's build a stone gathering camp, and we'll build that over next to the trading post, and there's another 10 wealth coming in there. Once that's constructed, we'll be able to start extracting the stone from here, which will enable us to build our church. Something else we're going to need to start importing as well are tools, or at least the iron that we can make our own tools. Without that, we're going to struggle with maintaining our workplaces and constructing new ones. 6 available living spaces, which are these here, so we have started to fill up our homes. And next year we'll get a bit of food variety by planting out a different food source from our beets, our carrots, and our cabbages. So we've got the option then. So what do we have? We've got vegetable garden here, vegetable garden here. We need beet seeds to make this place work. Cabbage here. So we've got beets at this house, cabbage at this house. So conversion to smallholding. The residing families become permanently assigned to their backyard extension, increasing its yield. Okay, so that might be something we do for our first 3. Let's purchase some carrot seeds for that family there. And let's convert these 3 homes to small holdings. We'll see how we get on with those. And hopefully with some stone coming in, we can build our church. And let's build our church. Oh yeah. Oh yes. I very much like that idea. Build our church right at the tip of our settlement. Like so. And hopefully that's close enough for all of our families to enjoy regular attendance. And these have been committed to small holdings, so that should increase their output. And it's reduced our unassigned families. So that gives us the burgage pot level. Okay, so we've got a little barrel there indicating the fact that it's a small holding. So let's convert that one as well. It's 1, 2, 3 small holdings. And let's upgrade the storehouse and the granary as well. And we will reduce the number of loggers because we have plenty of timber, 100 timber. And let's have a look at, yeah, we're up to 40% productivity at the saw pit. And what about over at the small stable? 0% productivity, waiting 52% of the time. They are working there, the two of them are out guarding oxes, so I'm not sure it's giving us a terribly accurate view of what they're doing. And we've got, oh, horse. You shouldn't be there. You should be elsewhere. We have a message. Oh, track the movements of those raiders, certainly. So let's assign Jacob to over at the trading post. Jacob the horse. And we'll order another ox with some of our excess finances. You can see these families are hard at work in their small holdings already. And we'll have to work at the fisherman's hut actually, which we didn't need to do, but he can now get on with collecting eel now that summer or spring has come along. And hopefully, finally, now we've got a few extra oxen on the way, we'll be able to get our clay pit down. But it looks like we've run out of tools. So we're going to need to start importing. And let's import iron ore. It's nice and cheap. Let's try and keep a surplus of 20 of that. And with that in mind, let's construct a bloomery so that we have somewhere to turn that into iron. But we need tools to do that. How about converting? We need tools for this as well. We do indeed. So we're actually going to have to save up enough money so that we can buy in some tools. That's a bit of a misplay there. We should have done that sooner. Because although we have a small iron deposit there, we don't have the means to turn it into iron. So, just as well buy it in for the moment, that's absolutely fine. And we couldn't mine it anyway because we needed tooling in order to build a mine pit. But at least the wooden church is complete. And I love the way that the spire, it lines up with the centre of our road and you can see it at the end there. Our small holdings are hard at work planting their vegetables. %50 efficiency. We may have too many family members working in those small holdings. We may have to convert them back one day. It's hard to know because because they're double plots, if they're small holdings, they may not need that many people working there if they're working there full time. But that's something we can start to learn, and so no doubt we'll get a feel for as we play more of this beta expansion to Manor Lords, the update. So funnily enough, we built a clay furnace, but we can't mine any clay. And we don't have a trade route open for clay, so we can't buy it in either and then re-export it in its refined form. No matter. We endeavour and push on, and hopefully with the additional food sources we'll be able to get some of our dwellings up to level 2, and with that we'll be able to start bringing in a passive income. We have 119 in our treasury, and there is a brigands camp over there in Mandlach. So what can we do in terms of hiring in someone to deal with them? So Burnback, Oshek or Hagstress. Hagstress is far away. Burnback is where we are. And then Oshek is down there. More to the point, who's the cheapest? They're all quite expensive. And actually the cheapest are 2 units of bows. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to have to rally our own men to deal with this. So we will get them gathering. And once again, they're going to bring us some additional wealth, ready for when we do have brigands attack. And we need to be able to hire in a decent number of mercenaries to deal with them. And so the men of our village, the fighting men of our village, are heading off on a long journey to take care of distant brigands in order to bring fame and glory to their home. They know that it's possible not all of them will return. But the security it will bring to the village is worth the price and worth the cost. And if they think so, who are we to stop them? Let's get an additional family working at the fisherman's hut, although we are really working our way through that rich resource of eel. But as we said, with our burgage plots here, especially being expanded to small holdings, hopefully we've got a decent source of vegetables coming our way by the end of this year. We're down to 2 available living spaces, so I'm inclined now to start thinking about building that duplicate set of properties here. Again, with just enough space to have that workable area at the rear, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, giving us an additional 7 living spaces. And our men are making steady progress. It's the brigand camp. There's some interesting terrain around here. Looks like it'll be more or less level ground when it comes to the fighting though. We're up to 720 on our influence, so we're not that far away from being able to claim our first additional region. We can see our town steadily growing here in Brunbach, and in Truma our adversary also expands, although they look to possibly have slowed a little bit compared to where we've got to, although they did get there quicker than us initially, or at least it felt that way. And we have 330 days till those raiders are upon us, so we want to make sure that when they come we've got the finances to hire the men we'll need to take care of them. We'll set them to a balanced fighting stance, and we'll continue pushing them towards the brigands' camp as construction of the burgage plots continues. I think this looks a good spot to take on the enemy. Perhaps even this brow here. That is, if they can be provoked from such a distance. Looks like a couple of the lads fell a little bit behind there. But they're catching up, and the brigands have yet to stir. We'll push forwards to here. And hopefully from there they'll see us. Push up to the road. Here they come. It's a shield wall, a tight defensive formation. Block the value of immediately adjacent allies. So block value. Slows the unit down, but let's put a shield wall up. Gives that additional bit of defense against our adversaries. Puts us up to 125% effectiveness. And hopefully with the shield wall we can avoid losing any of our troops would be ideal, but certainly reducing our casualties would be an aim. And here we are, clashing steel against steel. Spear against club. Shield against violence. Training our men for more significant conflicts to come. And as yet, we've not lost a man. The shield wall seems to be holding. Our men push in on the remaining brigands. It looks this day as if superior tactics have triumphed. And there we have it. We didn't lose a single man. So let's push our men forwards to take the bandit camp. And we're up to 1k in influence. Which means we can claim our first additional realm. So as we said, down here it's abundant mushrooms and also good farmland, if I remember correctly. Yep, decent farmland. Also decent farmland here, not quite so good, but it does have a good stone deposit. And up here we've got salt and clay again. We already have access to clay. And over here we've got a stone deposit, a bit of salt, a bit of clay, and a strong mushroom presence. Over here we've got that wild animals, berries. Down here we've got fish and stone. So I think this is probably going to be the area we're going to claim. It's going to give us access to producing barley. And also gives us mushrooms as a side benefit. Belongs to my treasury now. And we'll set our lads to get a good bit of exercise running home. And let's claim cross check with our influence. And there we have, we're beginning our claim. A bit of influence to spare, a bit of money in the pot. Ready for in just under a year's time when we have to deal with the raiders. So, where are we at with construction? We may try and use the pack station as a barter connection between our regions. So that might be a good way to get some barley coming into this region from Frostcheck. And as for what we'll export to them, we could export clay or roof tiles. So we've got a few options there, and that will allow us to get a steady production of barley or malt coming into Runbuck, which will of course allow us to get our settlement to a higher level than we'd otherwise be able to manage. I don't think there's much point in producing any barley here. There's not even a single patch of green for barley. It's not much better for flax. Emma, looks like we have one or two places we could grow a little green splodge over here, a little green splodge there, and a fairly big green splodge where we decided to plop our town down, which is typical. But I think we've got enough other resource production here without having to worry about having any fields. Right, so with 45 regional wealth, we've produced 120 planks. How are we doing with trading? 44% efficiency. We're waiting a little bit. We're spending quite a bit of time transporting. So let's assign an additional workman. But to do that, we are going to need to get an additional horse. And we're pretty close to managing that. We just need another 5. So the next time we make a sale of our wooden planks, we'll be able to do that. And with that additional horse, hopefully we can increase the amount of exported goods. And with an increase in export, we can look to bring in a little bit more money and import some of those tools that we need to make further progress. In the meantime though, we've got fairly good happiness. We've got people settling there. As we talk about that, a family settles in our town. We've got plenty of space for them to move into at the moment as well. And we've claimed a region. So I think we'll look to settle in here next spring. Just to give ourselves a full year. Well, having said that, yeah, we will, because I don't want to be settling there before the raiders arrive, because it's going to be much harder to defend 2 settlements as opposed to 1. We're also going to spend a fair bit of our coin in settling where we would otherwise be able to use it. Disconnected from the road? I don't think you are. Where we would otherwise be able to use it to hire in mercenaries to fight for us. So we needn't risk our own lives. And we're continuing to extract eel. Food is down to 4 months because we have steadily been growing our population, but we've not massively diversified our food as yet. Something that we're working on. We've got 3 small holdings, hopefully soon producing some vegetables. But this is the first year they've been planted. So we do need to allow a little bit of time that we can start producing there. So I think people are getting a little bit bored of eating fish all the time, potentially. And who can blame them? So let's get some of our spare workforce and we'll set them to planting a new forest over here. And we'll basically shape it to that road there. So everything to the side of the King's Road here will be a new forest. And they'll steadily work away on that for us. How are we doing here? 52% productivity. Still waiting a little bit and spending a bit of time transporting. Let's get an additional worker at the trading post. And there's that sale we've been waiting for, so let's get a horse purchased. And look, we're ready for some upgrades. So let's upgrade these properties here. And we'll upgrade everything that we can pretty much straight away, just in case they change their mind on how happy they are with what we've given them. A very peaceful place to have a church, overlooking the lake and the reassigned fire signs. We'll keep them out of view. And it's a nice cap to our village as you come over the hill here on the high street with people coming to worship, waggling their hips on the way to church, obviously getting in the mood. And we do have a lovely small village. Growth has somewhat stagnated since we've had a lack of tools, so let's speed time up a little bit. And what do we need from the trading post in order to get those tools? Oh, and we've actually increased our settlement level. It's a good start. The tools are 120, so I think we're going to save up so that we can establish a trade route for that. And we've filled up the stone gathering camp. We're actually done gathering stone, so we can unassign that family there. It's probably about time. We've got additional families working at the granary and at the storehouse, so we can continue to efficiently supply the market. And we'll continue upgrading houses. I'm not going to plant anything there just yet because we are saving up to establish that new trade route. We'll keep upgrading properties because with upgraded properties we're going to be able to produce a little bit of passive income. So we've got our perk and the new perks aren't quite here yet. Environment, we're pretty much where we were before. You can see over time we've made 176, but importing iron has cost us 86. We've exported 262's worth of wooden planks. 279 days till the raiders appear. And you can see food is up to 5 months, and that's now consisting of 135 eel, still mostly eel, but with 2 beetroots to spice their eel. An odd diet consisting mostly of eel, but then again, you do live in a small village in the shape of a boat, so perhaps you should have expected it would be something seafoody. So we're still exporting planks, and we're up to 54% productivity. With the trading, with that additional horse, hopefully on the way over here, and we can see we're still paying to import the iron, which is why we're struggling to get much above on the regional wealth. But I would have thought by now we are up to 20 iron ore, which is how much we wanted to have imported. So the next thing to do is to save up so that we can buy that tool, so that we can open a bloomery. And the best way we can do that is to continue exporting our timber and to continue upgrading our properties. And 10 at a time, we're bringing in that money. There's not a lot else we can export at the moment. We don't really want to be exporting eel, and we couldn't afford to open the trade route in any case. And there we are. We've increased our settlement level once more. Oh, a resource graph. But for the time being, there's nothing else for us to do on development. Doesn't look like any outlaw camps have popped up. So we'll speed time along and we'll keep pressing towards the ultimate goal of having no money. So we don't believe in no money and more problems, we believe in more money, less problems, or more money, more prosperity. So I'm really happy with how our settlement is developing here. And this little dense section here of housing has allowed us to expand quite far with people without spreading out over too far a distance. We're still operating off our first granary and storehouse. At some point it'll be nice to build an additional granary and storehouse just so that haven't got all our eggs in one basket should we have a fire or something. Speaking of which, there's lightning. It'd be sod's law, wouldn't it, to lose our granary to lightning as soon as I mentioned the possibility of lightning. And we're nearly up to 75% on approval. So let's take a look at the market. 78% food variety. And it occurs to me that we don't have any leather or clothing. For that we're going to need small holdings. And for that we need money to buy in pigs and goats. But really priority has to be getting those tools so we can open up a clay mine and start exporting roof tiles, which is where our main source of money is going to come from. We're up to 91 on the regional wealth. So we are just 30 or 29 away from being able to establish tool import. Let's continue upgrading properties where we can. It looks like the harvest is well underway. 24 carrots, 10 beetroots. And the cabbages are so good, I guess they're being eaten as soon as they're harvested. And we have our first building that requires maintenance. We don't have the tools for it just yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to unassign the livestock, unassign the families, and have them work in the adjacent saw pit, so that we don't drop production from where it is at the moment, because we rely on our planks for export and for upgrading to level 2 burgish plots. A quick check on the world map again as well for any outlaws that have popped up, and let's go and have a look at our adversaries. So they've developed a small village here now as well. Looks like they've yet to build a deep mine here for that iron. The trees are on their way to maturing, which is going to give them some diverse food. But they've yet to press any claims to any additional regions. Even if we haven't started building in our first claimed region, we are ahead of them, at least in that metric. Let's upgrade that house while we can. Fairly hefty in terms of cost upgrading the houses with resources, but aha! 152 regional wealth. So let's establish a trade route for tools. And we want to import. We always want to have at least 2 tools available to us. Let's make it 5 to begin with. Even if it is going to drain all our finances. So without tools we can't do anything. We have been waylaid some time in waiting for them. But just as soon as they're here we can start doing some repair works on buildings and conducting regular maintenance, and we can finally open the clay pit. Not that they've actually bothered to collect one of the logs from here, even at this stage. But they have collected enough that we don't need to delete anything to build our mine, at least. And it'll be good as well once we've got that additional bit of income, we can start diversifying our production by specialising various burgish plots to have their own little production of chicken coops, animal pens. We can start opening joiners shops and boas. In fact, we could do that straight away, but I am going to save the money for importing those all important tools. Do you by any chance, sir, I'm bearing tooling? Say it is so. 2 tools. Lovely. So while we have tools available to us, a momentous occasion indeed, let's get our first deep mine in position. pop it right on the edge here. The first time in some time our artisans in construction have something to do. Having said that, they have been steadily upgrading burgage plots to level 2. And already we're running low on those tools. But hopefully we've got what we need to open the mine. For the mine shall bring us glory and wealth beyond measure. To assign a family to the clay furnace, just so we're ready to start production once the clay starts being brought in. There's plenty of space in the storehouse, so we don't need to worry about that for the minute. It might be we end up having a storehouse over here, specifically for clay and roof tile storage. And why not set that up now actually? Let's build a small storehouse right next door to the clay furnace. Build a road around these two. That's a much lower priority than getting the mine pit open. Yeah, does not look like anyone else is ready to upgrade just yet. Fuel for 13 months of food for 7. That should safely see us through the winter at least. We've made a fair cleave into the forest here and here, but we've not used a ridiculous amount. How are we getting on with our foresters? 0% efficiency. Productivity, can't be right. Everyone's out planting apparently, or looking for spots to plant. So hopefully this will become a luscious forest by the time they're done. And remember as well, with our perk we increased the likely chance that a planting of a tree will be successful. So that should help us forest that fairly quickly. And we've spotted a bandit camp. Brigands and outlaws. So we're 188 days away from raiders. We had good success last time with our troops, so I think we'll rally our own men again just to save on the expense, and we'll dispatch them to take care of these brigands. We'll give them short shrift, and we'll make sure wherever we engage them we can use the shield wall again, because that did seem to drastically reduce our losses. So they're positioned in that tree line, so I think this ridge line would be a good place to meet them. So we'll assemble here, and then we'll advance to here with our shield wall. So while our men make the long journey, we'll make sure that domestically we have everything underway, and assign 4 men, I say men, 4 families to the mining pit, so that we can start producing clay. That just leaves 1 unassigned family to do construction, but at the moment we're not upgrading any housing, and we're just building the 1 specific storehouse. And we already have someone working at the clay furnace, so that's really going to do the job of getting plenty of clay available to us. And when we can, we'll upgrade this to a deep mine as well, and there we have a family settling. We've only 3 burgish plots available, so we are going to start thinking soon about expanding. And with that in mind, let's build some roads around these burgish plots. But we can manage a slightly straighter road than that there. Like so. Plenty of planks, a reasonable number of logs. We've still got an income from that there. And for this storehouse, let's set this to only contain roof tiles and clay. I'll take everything else off. So that's a specialised storage for those commodities. We're not going to have anyone working there for the time being. It's just a case of when we do have a larger production setup over here with multiple mining pits and multiple furnaces, that we've got storage space for those. And hopefully we're going to start seeing some roof tiles be produced. Our first clay is coming in. our first roof tile. Exciting stuff indeed. So we've set 25 roof tiles before we start exporting. I think that's absolutely fine. What we are going to need over here are some hitching posts. We'll fit 2 of those in here. We have 30 regional wealth which we could spend. So let's order an ox and we'll upgrade any of these hitching posts that are still hitching posts to stables. Which is probably going to be those 2 up there. But I believe we've done the one we had down here. Yep, we've done that one. And we're still going to be importing tooling as well. So that's obviously going to come at a cost. 2 roof tiles. And a reasonable amount of clay coming out the ground as well. And as soon as these hitching posts are finished, let's upgrade those 2 small stables. We'll get an upgrade on that family home there, on that burgish plot. Ooh, and I quite forgot about our intrepid men. So they're well rested. So let's advance top of this ridge and we'll form a shield wall. And we'll watch them advance out into the sunlight. Brave men ready to take care of their families by exterminating vermin wherever it might be found. Shields and spears at the ready. Ready to do the work that needs to be done. And have we coaxed the brigands from their lair? Not just yet. So we'll take up position here. Better still, a bit further along. And we'll keep an eye as to when the brigands become aware of us. There we go. We'll take position up here. And we'll wait for the filth to come to us. And what we'll do is we'll watch the filth charge our lines. Obviously no one told the brigands, but the last time some brigands attacked one of our shield walls didn't end so well. So really we're hoping again to not see any casualties from our own men. Hold the line, hold the faith. Once again our men set to the deadly brutal work, felling our enemy as we would fell trees. So we've yet to lose a man. The shield wall line does seem to be a little more dispersed than it was previously perhaps. Things seem to be going well on the whole. We've lost a man. Let's set to push forwards and we'll push into the enemy formation and try and press our advantage. We've lost 2 men. And hopefully we are now hacking into them. Yep, they're down significantly. 3 men. Our 3rd man is down. They've not as skillfully executed the shield wall as they did previously. Let's continue to press our advantage. Surely, there we go. Well, it came at a cost. That's our 5th man now lost since we started. His memory Their memory will be bitterly lost, bitterly mourned. So we'll send that to our treasury. And we'll run our men on home. That might be the last time we use our militia before we expand it. And you can see we've got a fair bit of regional wealth now. Let's check. Yep, we've got a house we can upgrade here. And you can see where we lost those 3 men, they were from these 3 plots here. So we thank you for the sacrifice your families have made. Let's get a couple of orchards. Let's get 4 actually. Constructed down here. And up here, let's get 2 chicken coops. And 2 animal pens constructed. And how are we doing for production? Well, up to 9 roof tiles. Have we actually sold any of our roof tiles yet? Let's take a look at our records. No, we haven't. Available living space -4. That doesn't sound good, does it? I imagine that's something to do with the upgrading we're doing. Hopefully once that upgrading is done, that will go away. It looks like it is. It's a rather concerning thing to be saying, isn't it? So, we're heading towards our 2nd winter. We're going into it with 6 months of food and 15 months of fuel, so that's not too bad at all. And those chicken coops have been constructed. And once we've got a bit more money, we can assign some pigs and goats. And next year we'll spend the money and get some of the first orchards planted as well. So let's get quinces, pears, and apples. Quinces. And are we making roof tiles as quickly as we are mining out clay? It looks like we are. So let's upgrade to a deep mine. And we can send these men back to their homes. Thank you for your service, men, once again. And fear not, you've gone out for the last time. 136 days till the raiders arrive. And we've 459 sat in our treasury. So we're well placed to hire in mercenaries to defend us come the time. We've really started to cleave into the forest here. And here come the construction crews to build the deep mine. And we'll also then look to construct another deep mine right next door, as close as we possibly can. Use a few timber there, but at this point I don't think it's ever been collected. He says as he watched one getting collected. So, we've only got 2 available plots left. We've still not quite made that 75% to get that additional moving in. But let's get a second mine constructed. How are we doing for efficiency in the mine? 79% productivity, that's pretty good. Right, so Bergish plots are quickly becoming the thing that is needed. Let's do some larger plots here. In fact, let's bring the road across here. What I think we'll do is we'll make some additional orchard plots. Perhaps just 1 per side. Oh, nope, didn't mean to do that. I clicked too furiously. Right, across there, and set that to 1. There's quite a lot of space used up there. What if we do it this way around. That's better. I wonder if we can get even smaller. If we start in this corner here. Come across there. And fill out like so. And one last try in the corner. No. Okay, well let's just come from the inside and do it like that. And then we'll do the same on this side. So it's going to be 2 orchard plots. And what can we fit up here? So again, that's quite a lot of space taken up for not a lot of production space. That's slightly better actually, I don't mind that. And we'll do the same on this side if we can. Move along here a little. Got to remember how I did that now. I literally just did it. Up there. Up there. Nope. Nope. Okay. Let's get rid of that. So I quite like these to be symmetrical, if we can do it that way. So I've just done that by coming up that far, going down to the side. So we just get different outcomes on each side for doing that. So what about if we just come across the bottom there? Okay, that could work. Then we'll build that there. And we'll do the same on this side. Except it'll be 3 instead of 4. Okay, that's fine. So we're really starting to make use of all the space we have available to us here. 51 regional wealth and growing. And we'll leave those 4 families to do construction at the moment. Oh dear. Looks like our deep mine collapsed as soon as we finished it. Hopefully we didn't lose anyone in that cave-in. I'd be very sad if we did. So let's set that to be the highest priority. And with that additional bit of income we just got, we'll get pigs here and we'll get goats here. And we'll get quinces here on both sides. And then we'll look to get apples and pears for the other 2 when we have a bit more wealth available to us. We'll set that house to upgrade. And it looks like the mine is nearly complete. Get an additional ox ordered, yet, and we've got the 4 working there again, so we didn't lose anyone, they stayed working there, we just couldn't see who was assigned. Hopefully we don't have any cave-ins again anytime soon. That was almost as soon as we finished it. Obviously we didn't do a very good job of digging a secure mine. How are we doing here? 46% productivity. So we're doing only a tiny bit of waiting, we're doing a bit of transportation. Let's get a second family working at the clay furnace. And with the eel freezing, let's take our eel workers and we'll also take our foresters to free them up for construction. We can get rid of the stone gathering camp now. And food for 6, fuel for 12. And let's get pears down here. And then when we have the money, we'll assign apples to here. And with orchards planted, in 3, 4, 5 years time, we'll have some additional food variety. So what do we need? We need level 3 or higher. And to get level 3 burgage plots, we need clothing. And we need some additional animal produce. Could do with a larger church. And they would really quite like to have some more beverages. It looks like we're struggling a bit for water access actually, so let's get down an additional well or two. We'll put one over here. And we'll pop one down here somewhere. 55 days till the raid is in there. Once it's within a month, we'll look to see who we can hire and get them down to our region ready in case they've got a ways to travel. So we'll keep an eye on that. We have 8 plots for people to move into, and again, once again we've had our deep mine collapse. That's rather frustrating. What we might do is move these men over to this mining pit here for the time being, and we'll get the surface deposits first. We don't need to worry about constant cave-ins. It's really about getting production up and running at the moment. So it looks like we need dressed stone, and what I'm guessing is mortar. Yeah, mortar. So what do we need to do to produce mortar? A lime kiln. Workers burn rubble stone into mortar. And then we're going to need to buy in some rough stone. So again, we really need to get our clay tile export open before we can be doing that. No, we don't actually need to have a charcoal kiln technology anymore. So let's get a charcoal kiln down over here, so we can more efficiently use our wood. And let's upgrade this burgish plot here. Now whether to make this an orchard or a farm for vegetables, I think we'll make it a farm for vegetables, both of those. And down here we want to set you to make apples. We'll upgrade anyone that's willing to upgrade. Looks like adding a few spots of additional water supply around may have helped. Even though that one's not finished yet, so that wouldn't have been the cause of that. And it's 40 days until the raid is in there, so we've still got time. Trading post still seems to think it's not connected to the road, but that guy seems to think differently, so that's absolutely fine. Nearly done with the mine for the 3rd time. So just as soon as that's complete, we're going to reassign that workforce. Okay. Collapse chance 2%. Sure. So let's get some families working in this mining pit, and we might even do both. And get an additional worker at the clay furnace as well. Affected by building proximity, plus 2%. Well, hopefully we don't get another cave in. They just they collapse immediately. Oh dear. I got the feeling we're going to be regularly going over there and repairing our mine pits, which is frustrating to say the least. And let's get an orchard, not an orchard, a vegetable garden down there. then let's get a couple of apiaries. Just the one for the moment, because it's all we can afford. And we'll grow beets at this farm here, and we'll make this into... We won't make it into a small home just yet, but we will expand the living space. And already we're coming through the other side of the winter. We've rather forgotten to hire in our mercenaries. Alright, so we're in Bernbach. We've got Crosscheck and Black next to us. So, Huntsman. Arrive in Brunbach, that's where we are, but they're 250, they're a lot. Here I have a man like that's nearby, 2 units, so we'll get them. And where's Nasvice? Over here, I think that'll be fine as well, so we'll also hire them. And just as soon as they appear on the map, we'll get them headed our way. It looks like we did lose someone. So let's assign a family to the church to take care of that. As the weekly mine collapse has happened. And we'll get these men down here. And we'll get these men down here also. Building still requires maintenance, but that's because we haven't had anyone working there. And we don't need to just yet either. We'll continue to upgrade houses where we can. Good. Decent progress overall. I can wish that we had got there a little bit sooner with regards to opening up trade for our clay tiles. I also wish that our mines didn't collapse every 30 seconds. Oh. Apparently we're cold. Why are you cold? Oh, Bergish plot of no one. Cold. People require fuel in a Bergish plot. Might freeze to death. They have both of those. And we've fuel for a good 11 months yet. But all the same, we want to be keeping people happy. Let's set this to maintenance ×2. That might be why we're getting so many collapse-ins, because we don't have enough resources to maintain. So let's demolish this mining pit. And we'll just work on the one and try to maintain it better. Let's get a couple of people working down at the fisherman's hut. And let's get someone working at the charcoal kiln. And we'll get our foresters back on the job of planting our new forest over here. We have 2 of our units here, and there we have the sound of enemies coming close. So, looks like the brigands are over here. So what we'll do is we will keep these units here in reserve, ready to protect the town should it be needed. And we will take this force, attack this brigand camp, and attack the brigands here as well. So I'm going to set them to walking, and I'm going to meet the enemy. We'll probably start here, because they're going to be coming our way. So ideally we want to be cutting them off en route to us, so that we never even have to use our additional men. They may even go and burn our adversaries, and I would be terribly sad, wouldn't it, if they attacked our adversaries. Not that I want to see anyone harmed. all the same, we are a town with selfish needs. And let's be honest, we can't even stop a mine from collapsing. Yes, which is not the best term for how well we look after ourselves. So we've still people moving in. Let's get an additional ox ordered. And let's continue to mine. Don't think we need as many families at the clay furnace as we have. Upgrade properties where we can. And continue to trade. It is costing us a lot to bring in these tools. So now that we have some tools, let's build a bloomery. And with that bloomery, we can smelt the iron we're buying in at a much cheaper price. And let's also then check in here, and we'll make a bit more money at Blacksmith's Workshop to work with our bloomery, so that we might produce our own tooling. Yeah, it looks like the brigands are moving towards our foes. So let's continue advancing at a steady pace towards the outlaw camp. And they have a retinue to fight for them. So they've built a manor somewhere that I have not seen. Where have they hidden that? Is it in plain sight? I'm just not seeing it. Possibly. In any event, I don't think 5 men of the retinue are going to be able to face a couple of units, groups of brigands. But alas, we'll go and take care of these ones. We're spending our hard-earned money on our protection. If they're not willing to spend theirs, then there's not much I can do for them. Let's up the priority of the bloomery.
Well, perhaps it was simply a bad batch.
How are we doing for supply? General goods only 50%. Not producing enough animal hide. Let's open up another animal pen. Sounds like we have things happening. Indeed, we do. There we go. Let's go and take that camp. And it looks like the brigands made short work of our adversary's retinue. They don't look like they know what to do now, so we may well go and take care of them ourselves just as soon as we've taken out this bandit camp. We've 12 days till we need to pay anyone, so if the enemy don't appear anywhere near us, we'll get rid of our additional band. Let's send that to our treasury. And we will continue to head towards the remaining brigands. And back at home, let's construct a vegetable garden there. And let's get a family working in the bloomery. And how are we doing down here? We need to construct our blacksmith's workshop. When we have the money, we need to start getting some goats in so that we can start producing some hides. And let's see how our advanced party is getting on over here. It looks like we may have attracted at least one of the group of brigands. So let's put our units forward. We'll create shield walls. And we will keep our archers in reserve. We'll set them to give ground and to shoot at will. And then we'll move forward at a measured pace. Ideally, I don't want to fight them in the forest. So we'll head over here in the hopes that we can catch them at the edge of the forest, perhaps. And I think we will get rid of these lads here. So we're not paying two lots of fees. And we'll go and claim the influence that is due us by taking care of this brigand problem that our neighbour seems unable to take care of. Why they've not been burned to the ground, I don't know. But I suppose we should be grateful that no lives have been lost unnecessarily. And so we're almost ready to push into these brigands. Honestly, they don't seem terribly fussed about dealing with us. And here they come. A futile attempt. They are vastly outnumbered. We have range support. They just have clubs. We have 3 rank deep of shield wall. And they have nothing but guile. They've not even attacked in their full numbers. So we'll take care of them in short order. And we'll push our men over here. We'll take the influence for ourselves, and soon we'll be able to press a claim towards another region. Worth the expense, I think, of taking care of these brigands. Back home, the bloomery is operating. We've got iron slabs being produced. And let's get you making tools. And at last, we have our own tool production. And we can stop importing tools. And hopefully we can start to build a stockpile of tools for maintenance, and we won't continue to see our mines collapse. And we can start bringing in some proper income without having to spend out on expensive made materials every time. We'll be producing them ourselves. With the beginnings of a stable economy in our small village. And we'll make short work of these brigands. We needn't even commit our entire force. And there we have it. We've dealt with the threat. That's all we have time for today, friends. I hope that you found this as relaxing to watch as I found it to make. As always, I appreciate you and your feedback. Until next time, cheerio.